got a great show for you. Our special guest, critically acclaimed film director Stanley Kubrick, in a rare interview. But first, did you hear about this? A U.S. helicopter and a U.S. cargo plane collided in an abortive mission of a desert raid to rescue some American hostages over in Tehran. Now, the studios and my own sympathy and deepest condolences go out to the families and friends affected by this tragedy. This is seriously no joking matter. But this is a comedy show, so here we go. Let's start with the jokes. First off, it was a rescue mission. Now, I'm not an expert in the field of military endeavors and advancements and rescue teams, this, that, and the other. But I would believe that the name rescue team would imply they're doing the rescuing, not the ones being rescued. I'm pretty sure the first thing they teach you in those classes is that you're not supposed to be the second victim. Luckily for most of those people that were casualties and whatnot, they weren't the second victim. They were the third, or the fourth, or fifth. Their casualty came after the second one. Now, second, these are two aerial vehicles that collided in midair. This is a helicopter and a plane. Now, again, I'm not in the military, nor am I a general. I didn't go to school for it, this, that, or the other. But I'm pretty sure that if I was a pilot, bear in mind I don't have a piloting license, so I'm not a professional on this, but I think staring out that windshield, you'd see another giant flying hunk of metal in the air, but I'm not entirely sure. We've got a plane and a helicopter approaching each other. To me, I feel like you'd be able to see one another before you collided. And even if you didn't, where were the air traffic controllers? Were they on break, coffee, in the restroom? What was going on? Where were they? Apparently that doesn't matter. Speaking of air traffic controllers, have you ever heard about this? A near miss. It's a phrase used in the aviation world for when two planes are coming and they miss. They call it a near miss. Now, to me, this makes no sense at all. Because if I was sitting over there in Tehran and I saw two giant flying hunks of metal and they slammed into each other, I'd be able to tap my producer on the shoulder being, look, they nearly missed. Well, joining me tonight in an interview, Stanley Kubrick. So how are we doing today?
Quite well. And you?
Fine. And tell us about your new movie, The Shining. It's based on the King novel, am I correct?
Yes, it is based on the King novel.
Did you stay true to the source material, or did you add any originality, creativity? What happened?
I did take a significant portion of the story to use for the silver screen.
If I'm to be understanding, most of the films you do actually were based on previous works and novels and whatnot. Is that right?
I do generally take already written works to make film adaptations of.
Do you have much interest in doing your own original ideas, storylines, plot lines, anything of that nature?
I haven't come across any ideas that seem particularly interesting or have to do with form. I think that a preoccupation with originality is more or less a fruitless thing.
Oh yeah, and why is that?
A truly original person with a truly original mind will not be able to function within the old form and will simply do something different. Others will try to work within the old form and it just won't be original.
Now, Shelley Duvall plays the lead actress.
Correct.
And why did you choose her?
I'd seen all her movies and all of her works, and I greatly admired them. I think she brought an instantly believable characterization to her part.
What about her work led you to this decision, or why not somebody else like Sigourney Weaver?
You see, the wonderful thing about Shelley is her eccentric quality, the way she walks, the way she talks. put together. She seems exactly like the kind of person that would be married to Jack and be stuck with him.
Yeah, speaking of Jack, why'd you pick him?
I believe that Jack is one of the best actors in Hollywood, perhaps on par with the stars of the past. I think that he'd be the first choice on anyone's list for any role which suits him.
What about him drew you to cast this madman as the lead?
He is always interesting, and his ideas are always clearly conceived, and he has that X factor, magic. Jack is an intelligent man, and he's very intelligent, he's a literate man, and these are qualities which are almost impossible to act. In The Shining, you believe he's a writer, failed or otherwise.
Is this film going to be anything like 2001? Am I going to have to bring in a professional interpreter to find the meaning of this movie, or what are we looking at here?
Actually, it's not near on the level 2001 was. The thing about 2001 was, it's like how could we appreciate the Mona Lisa if Da Vinci had written at the bottom, she's smiling because she is hiding a secret from her lover.
This would just take away from it, right?
Yes, it would ruin the meaning.
So what you're saying is the movie's not supposed to make sense. There's just some people up in space and a computer takes over, something like that.
I would not think of quarreling with your interpretation, nor impose a new one. I think that it is best to let the film speak for itself.
That's pretty good. That's really good, actually. And one of your trademarks is that you shoot scenes over and over and over and again just to get that perfect scene. Why is it that you do all these different takes and shoots? Is it to get the perfect shot, or why? Do you have some kind of reason for it?
Because actors don't know they want.
People who watch your movies claim that you would be one to do drugs such as LSD. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've actually responded to the matter before.
Really?
Allow me to read you my written statement. I believe that drugs are basically of more use to the audience than to the artist. I think that the illusion of oneness with the universe and absorption with every significance of every object in your environment, and the pervasive aura of peace and contentment is not the ideal state for an artist. It tranquilizes the creative personality which thrives on conflict and on the clashing ferment of ideas. The artist's transcendence must be within his own work. He should not impose any artificial barriers between himself and the mainspring of his subconscious. One of the things that turned me against LSD is that all the people I know who use it have a peculiar inability to distinguish between things that are really interesting and stimulating, things that appear to be so in the state of universal bliss that the drug induces on a good trip. They seem to completely lose their critical faculties and disengage themselves from some of the more stimulating areas of life, perhaps when everything is nothing is
Wow, that's really beautiful. Now, do you have anything for these up-and-coming filmmakers, people who want to get started in the movie industry, for those who, are just beginning?
Perhaps it sounds ridiculous, but I believe that the best thing that a young filmmaker can do is just grab a camera and some film and start recording.
Anything else?
To make a movie completely by yourself, which initially I did, you don't have to know much of anything at all, but you must know about photography.
In that case, if there's ever a movie that needs to be made about being up skirts, I'm your man. Alright, well, that's Stanley Kubrick. Everybody use Conan, The Shining. Go see it in theaters.